Oh, I'm too high.
Can it go down? I bet it goes down.
This is just filth.
I hope you're filming
just...
that.
Whoa!
Down, James.
Whoa! Oh yeah, going down, going down.
What channel is this for again?
The Triple X channel. Moran Triple X. I am sitting here, obviously, sitting here and not standing here with...
You'd be really sure if you were standing.
You've ruined it. You've ruined it already. I'm here with Amber Benson, who has written novels, she's written comics, she's directed movies, she was in some TV show. I'm blanking on it. She's very, very clever. She's very cool. This is a regular series. I say it's a regular series. It's the first one. It may be the last one. It's a series of informal chats with other writers talking about their process, because I have a very weird, specific process, specific to me, and I like to hear about other writers' processes so I can laugh at them and say, that's never going to work. Amber Benson.
Yes.
What is your writing process? How do you start?
I think the thing that grabs me the most when I'm about to start something is place. I'm a big fan of atmosphere. Like if something has an atmosphere to it and I can step into that world through my imagination, then that's kind of what grabs me. I live in the east side of Los Angeles, and I have a new book coming out. It's called The Witches of Echo Park, and it takes place on that east side of LA.
Plug.
Plug for myself. And I'm obsessed with where I live. Like the east side is so wonderful and magical, and there are a lot of terraced houses that you can only reach via stairs. And then there are botanicas, which are sort of like little shops you go into that they sell spells and magic candles and stuff like that. It's all kind of wrapped up with like Catholicism and Santeria. It's really interesting and it's very diverse. There are people from every walk of life, different kinds of foods. So the place, I start with place.
That's really interesting because you coming from primarily an acting background. I mean, I'm come straight from kind of a story background where I have like a one-line plot thing, but you're kind of approaching it like you would approach playing a role. It's a feeling, it's a place.
It's sensory. Character is always the hardest part for me. Plot, I love plot. To me it's like a jigsaw puzzle. If I can start to put it all together, you know, then it becomes clear after a while. So I start with place and then I start to build the structure of what's going to happen. And then the characters are kind of the third piece, which is weird. You're right, I'm an actor, I should be like character all the time. Periphery characters come first. Like in the book there's this woman named Eleonora. She's an older woman who's dying of cancer, and she is so vivid in my mind when I think about the book, even more so than the protagonist, who, you know, I had to find her sort of as I wrote the first draft. And when I went back to do the second draft revisions and stuff, I really kind of found her. There's something about those periphery characters that are larger than life, and I don't know, they grab me. I'm much more interested in them than I am in like somebody who's my placeholder. I guess I'm bored by myself.
A problem I have a lot when I'm coming up with characters is that I come up with all of the characters around the main character, who's the hero.
Me too.
And then I start writing it and I'm like, the hero's really boring. And they're supposed to be the thing the audience identifies with.
Drag us into the story. There are our eyes.
And they're just dull. Because these other characters are not the main character, they can have weird quirks and things. So there's been a couple of times where I've just kind of removed the main character and promoted a secondary character because they're more fun, they're more interesting.
So much more fun. I mean, I had trouble because I wrote another series before, and the main character is super quirky, super much me. That did not make any sense. But she was really me, like the way she looked at the world and her sense of humor and the way she looked at relationships and sex and all this stuff was very much like me. And I got a lot of pushback from women, which was surprising, who didn't like a flawed character. They wanted her to be aspirational. They wanted to be able to put themselves onto her. They didn't want her to be flawed. They wanted her to be making these very powerful, positive decisions all the time. And I was like, well, screw that. I want a character who's flawed. I want a character who goes on the hero's journey and is like, no fucking way am I going on this. I'm not interested in this. I want to live my normal life. Fuck you. And then gets dragged in and has to like grow and change and has an arc and becomes a better person during the course of all this. That's interesting to me. Not a character who accepts things immediately, is good at stuff immediately, maybe has like a 2-second montage of figuring out how to fight or use their powers. I'm sick of that. Like, I want characters who are real, who are flawed, who make mistakes. That's interesting to me.
This is where you get the dull protagonist problem. Like, all the other characters are cool and interesting, and then the main character, they're the hero, they're the badass, they do everything, and they're cool, and they're noble.
Yeah.
And that's why they need to be removed.
Yeah, I just watched Benedict Cumberbatch. I say patch every time. I get it confused.
Cabbage Patch.
Cabbage Patch. Cumberbatch, not Patch. God, you just confused me again. I watched Parade's End, and it's based on a Maddox Ford series of novellas, and that character is noble to the point where he becomes flawed by his nobility. He's so noble, he does everything right, and it screws him at every turn. And I'm like, you want to write a noble character, there is your noble character. A character who is felled by what should be their greatest asset. That is interesting. So for me, I always do a first draft. I like to do a vomit draft. If I don't vomit it out, I will spend the rest of my life revising the first 3 chapters or the first like 15 pages of a script. I just have to like get it out and just silence the critic or I wouldn't get anything done.
That's kind of something that a lot of other writers I know have in common. They do that kind of vomit draft and don't look back. It's what I do. I know a couple of people who they'll write sort of 10 pages and then the next day they come back and they'll rewrite those 10 pages and then continue on. If they get stuck on something in those, then they can't carry on. I mean, it works for them, but I just don't. I couldn't do that. That would drive me crazy.
I don't find as much joy in writing prose as I do in writing screenplays. I love writing screenplays. I'm a visual thinker. I think it comes from directing and editing too, as you know. You spend a lot of time looking at the visual. And then the dialogue. I love writing dialogue. And I tend to lean on humor.
Oh
it's
God,
a crutch.
yeah. I have to do a joke pass at the end. It's like writing a very serious movie and I look. There was just a slight camera issue there. I blame the camera operator, oh, that's me. So when you are directing, do you find yourself rewriting kind of on the fly?
No, I think I'm like you, where like when I give over to the actors, I let them do the rewriting with the dialogue. And as far as like rewriting on set, I find that the stuff I work on, there's no time. And I storyboard everything, so I know what I want and what it looks like, and unless there's just something glaring that I've missed, which is pretty rare, because once you storyboard and you start to pick up a problem, you fix it before you get to the set. But I love for actors to play.
Oh yeah.
Because they say it better than I could say it.
Okay, so it's like kind of a place, a feel, visuals. It's just interesting to hear with an acting background how you come at a story, but there are still some similar elements to my process, and I'm pure plot to start with, but then I will bring the characters in last.
It's weird, huh?
It's very weird. You're just weird.
I am totally. I think it was on Paul Newman's Inside the Actors Studio. He was talking about himself and Joanne Woodward and their processes. And he was saying that she just is an instinctive actor, and he just sits there and takes things apart. I'm an instinctive. Like, if I feel something, then I feel it, and I figure out how to justify it, and then I move forward with it. And I feel like that with the writing, too. I'm very instinctive. Even when I'm outlining, I have an idea of where I want to go, but I'm like, oh, that's not working, so I move it to here. I try not to box myself in or say you have to do it a particular way.
As always, when I hear other writers' processes, there are little things that I will steal for myself. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. Final thing, yes. What is next for Amber Benson?
What is next for
Amber Jensen?
Amber Jensen. The Witches of Echo Park. That's coming out in January.
I'll put a link with a picture.
There's that, and then I'm going to direct a horror short. These three Scream Queen actresses put together. That's what's on my plate.
Sounds like a delicious plate.
It's like a smorgasbord.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
This is why I write. Amber Benson, Amber Jensen, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the movies. She touched me! An actor touched me! I'm gonna edit this bit out. That was a false start. That was not part of it.
Okay, not part of it. Will you be sitting or standing?
Lying down. Naked.
Oh no!
So you're gonna come at it. That's stupid.
I come at it like a woman.
Serious face.